I would like to make it perfectly clear. When the Wall Street Journal article came out, and I was surprised that Adam didn't flinch, and it didn't bother me. I was mad at that, too. But I didn't say anything about it. He had been having meetings about having me fired for a very long time, and I never gave him any hassle about it. I understood it. He even gave me a compliment. He said it's like having two Eddie Van Halens in the same band. You're just wasting one. In essence, calling me very talented, but very talented while being fired. Well, my company thought I was of value and kept me at morning show money for this one little tiny lousy hour that I get to do to play with you guys. And sure enough, I end up doing mornings in Market 6 because they had faith in me. What am I going to tell you tomorrow? I'm just going to tell you this again. That's terrible showmanship. That's terrible radio. And I'm just going to flat out say it, and then we're going to move along. I blame Carolla. He could have gotten around this. He could have said, I've heard all the rumors, I saw the paper, but nobody's fired me yet. So let's get back to how bad parking tickets are. So I would just like to say to you personally, if you're listening, Adam, I really think that was uncool of you to steal everybody's thunder so that everybody has to say goodbye for 2 full shows. It's bad radio. I'm sure your show was great because you got to break the news. I'm sure your phones were off the hook with how good you are. Hang on, there's Adam himself. Hello?
Danny.
Yeah.
I just want to clear the record. I talked to Jack Silver the day Jack Silver found out all this was going down, which was last week, and he said, how do you want to handle it? Do you want to do a week of goodbyes? Do you want to do no goodbyes? How do you want to handle it? And I said, why don't we do, because I knew the word would get out.
Of course, the word's been out for quite a while.
I knew they would have to, well, there's rumor and innuendo, and then we're telling the affiliates and they're printing articles.
Right. No, I literally was not making that up when I heard from my agent. I've been hearing the rumors, too. Don't worry. That's my own agent, who, by the way, will be getting a phone call from me right after this show.
But I, just for the record, am saying that I talked to Jack Silver in his office when we had a discussion of how to go about doing this, and I said we should do 2 days. And the reason I said we should do 2 days is because by the time we get to the middle of what is now this week, everyone is going to know, and you can pretend like it's not going down, but when every second phone call is what the hell's going on, it's hard to ignore that. So
I personally, and on that point, I actually disagree with you. I've watched you work. I watched you work for a year. You're a magician with words. You could have done anything you wanted to.
Oh, you definitely could have. The only argument I'm making in what you're saying about me right now is I sat down with Jack Silver and we said Thursday and Friday are the goodbye days.
Okay, then I stand corrected because I was in Los Angeles yesterday and I was told flat out that Friday we're going to all be doing this farewell show, and Lycus will make a special announcement, and that will be that. So we heard 2 different things from the same gentleman.
Right. Well, we didn't. The thing about Jack, and as you may know, sometimes the wires can get a little crossed. Jack didn't tell me what we're going to do. He said, "What do you want to do?"
Right.
And I said, let's do Thursday and Friday. And he said, fine. And then I never discussed it with him since. So I got a call. I started getting calls on the air on Wednesday saying, what's up? We're hearing rumors. And I said, well, I played it close to the vest. I said, well, we'll tell you tomorrow. But according to the agreement I had with Jack Silver, that was it. We were going to do Thursday and Friday. Now, as far as the, radio theater part, that's open to speculation. But I don't want anyone, including yourself, thinking that I agreed to Friday and then decided to go stab everyone in the back and announce it on Thursday.
I don't think you did that. I never thought you stabbed everyone in the back. I thought that you just decided with the phone calls pouring in, But you do know that less than 1% of your listeners call, and I would say less than 3% of our listeners were reading trade papers saying that 97.1 FM is folding.
Oh, we definitely could have. I've, by the way, known for about 3 weeks.
Okay, I've known for about 8 hours.
And haven't said a word on the air. I just had an agreement with Jack that we were going to do Thursday and Friday, because my feeling, quite honestly, was 11 years, one day didn't seem like enough. I mean, I've only been on for 3 years, but I felt like Frosty, Hiding Frank, or Lycus, or whoever, Tim Conway, I thought those guys would want to do a whole week of goodbyes. Jack didn't think that was a good idea, so we kept it to 2 days. But speaking of Tim Conway Jr., he's been on for 11 years, and if we just did Friday, wouldn't get a chance to say goodbye.
Oh, well,
so that was part of it.
I think we're getting into semantics, and that's a tough part to get into with you because, you're one of the brightest people I know. But the problem with that is, you ever had, because, you're well-known and people recognize you on the street and they want to take a picture, you ever had somebody say goodbye to you for more than 15 minutes?
Yeah, no.
You never had to say, hey, it was really nice to meet you, man. It was great to meet Carolla, the Man Show. I love that. It was great to meet you. This is going to be so important to my family. You're the best.
It's not semantics, though. I mean, Tim Conway has been on the air longer than all of us combined, and he wouldn't get a chance to say goodbye because the station would be blown up on Friday at 5 o'clock. He's going to say goodbye tonight.
That does make perfect sense. That does make perfect sense.
And all I'm saying is I'm not going to argue with you in terms of theatrically or even practically. Maybe it's a better idea to say goodbye and just do it all in one day.
And say goodbye.
I was thinking, who gives a crap? I mean, it's not like we got to worry about ratings, number one. Number two, the cat's out of the bag. And number three, there are people like Tim who won't get a chance to say goodbye at all.
I did not consider. I didn't know. I'm losing you, Adam. But if you listen on your radio, I'll be far more than fair. That was a very good point. I did not know that all of us wouldn't be doing our shifts, and that Tim Conway does totally deserve a chance to say goodbye. I don't know. That does change my point of view a little bit, and I'm lucky enough to be one of those guys that doesn't open his big mouth and have to stand by his guns. I have to be right. Carolla makes a fine point that Conway deserves to say what a wonderful career it's been. Well, not a career. He's going to another station for sure. You don't let talent like that go by. But I don't know whose place it is to make that decision. But if he said he has a deal with Jack Silver, our boss, I'm going to take Carolla at his word. I'm a big fan. I'm a big believer. He's got nothing to worry about. He's going somewhere in a big-ass hurry. That's Adam Carolla. I have no desire to say goodbye for 2 days. I have a desire to break down and cry and say goodbye for about a minute and a half. So aside from the Tim Conway thing that makes perfect sense, Carolla, I'll give you that. That does make perfect sense. But it does put the rest of us in a tad of a rough spot of saying goodbye for 2 days. I believe it was Benjamin Franklin that said fish and house guests start to stink after 3 days. Well, goodbyes aren't usually that interesting after about an hour, let alone 2 full days. So I don't have to give you a pass. You're Adam Carolla from the Adam Carolla Show, but I did not know you had to deal with Silver. I just don't know what position it puts everybody in and telling the same how sorry we are to be going stories 2 days in a row. We've become the cancer station. Yeah, I just found out I have lung cancer. I'll be dying. I'll tell you about that for the next 4 hours, and then I'll tell you again tomorrow. But it just seems inappropriate, but I cannot hold you to task for it if you had to deal with our boss. And also, it was very sentimental of you to think I didn't know we were going off the air early, and that Mr. Conway would not get a chance to say goodbye. So on that note, I will let it go because that was very touching of me. I didn't know that was happening, that we weren't staying on a full day and starting on Saturday. So I guess I'm going to say goodbye for 2 friggin' days.